When do I know I'm Spider-Man?
You won't. That's all it is, Miles. A leap of faith.
If you'll allow me to start off with a cliche, with great power comes great responsibility. Some may argue that superhero origin stories are played out, and even some modern comic book movies often introduce us to heroes mid-career without any explanation. But of course, an origin story sets off the chain of events that leads our heroes to learning more about themselves while also choosing to fight for justice. So the great power line from Spider-Man encompasses not only the granted abilities of superheroes, but also the importance of stepping up to those responsibilities presented. But it's also reflective of the choices filmmakers themselves have to make when adapting a hero's story, including their origins. As IGN continues to search for the greatest superhero movie ever made with our Super Movie Madness contest, let's look at some different types of origin stories and how they've been reinterpreted for the big screen.
I have nothing to prove to you.
Filmmakers have a responsibility to be faithful to the source material, and when comic origin stories already come in so many shapes and sizes, it's often best to follow their lead, but inject it with some much-needed humanity.
Great reflexes. Thanks.
No problem.
The freak accident origin story is ironically the most dependable for creating any new superhero. With any accident, though, there is a philosophical and physical journey that challenges them to accept their new realities. The concept is the same. When incredible abilities are thrust upon our protagonists, they'll have to eventually choose what they're going to do with their newfound powers. And for those who become heroes, that includes stepping up to use these powers for good or their community, whatever that may be. Their family, their neighborhood, their country, or their species. And there's no better example of a homegrown hero than in Sam Raimi's Spider-Man. Peter Parker, after being bitten by a radioactive spider, could suddenly see clearer, move quicker, and yes, shoot webs from his body. This is a departure from the original Spider-Man comics where Peter was able to make web shooters. In choosing to have the spiders by genetically alter Peter to also shoot webs from his body, his freak accident also became a thinly veiled analogy for puberty and stepping up as a provider and protector after his own, Uncle Ben, passes away. Setting the bar for many superhero movies that followed, this change was for audiences of the early aughts who needed to be shown how to believe in superheroes. A high school kid inventing high-tech webs capable of bearing tremendous weight just wasn't believable as, well, this.
Get out of my bar, freak.
Unlike those who underwent freak accidents, other heroes were simply born this way. Heroes like Blade and Aquaman are hybrids from human parents who, for better or worse, cross paths with supernatural beings. These heroes knew early on that they were different and were shaped by their feelings of being treated differently. How their true natures were nurtured influenced how they viewed and used their abilities, therefore shaping their ethics and morals. Fox's X-Men series covered the constant mutant struggle with the Homo sapiens society, playing out the endless ethical chess match between Charles Xavier and Magneto, aka Eric Lehnsherr. 2017's Logan marked the end of Hugh Jackman's 17-year tenure as Wolverine, and also serves as the origin movie for X-23, aka Laura. While X-23 was technically first introduced on an animated X-Men show, neither that show nor her comics' origins ever involved a Western trek with the man who effectively is her biological father. Seeing how Laura was experimented upon the way that he was, Logan sees himself in Laura's journey to fight against her programmed nature and makes it his mission to protect her on her way to the safe haven known as Eden. This experience and quality dad time gives Laura a new hope for a path other than just survival. And whereas most of Logan's life was focused on bloodshed and killing, his final mission helps Laura in her very first to set off in a hopefully better direction on life's path.
Whosoever holds this hammer, if he be worthy, shall possess the power of Thor.
While comics are a modern form of hero worship, some creators take that extra step by literally reinterpreting gods and mythological figures as superheroes. And supervillains. As part of the MCU's Phase 1, Thor's adaptation featured the same exiled god sent to Earth, but he was still Thor in all his muscly Chris Hemsworth splendor, even if he didn't have his godlike powers. In the comics, when Odin banished Thor so that he could learn humility, he was given a mortal life as Dr. Donald Blake with none of his memories as a god. But it's a much more powerful choice to let Thor struggle as a mortal and miss his once almighty abilities. His inability to lift Mjolnir plays as an actual reflection of his unworthiness, and it hangs over Thor until he realizes that he needs to grow up. Directed with a Shakespearean tilt by Hamlet himself, Sir Kenneth Branagh, the film's decision to keep Thor conscious of his faults starts the Asgardian on a journey that sees him transform from a debaucherous frat boy into a bona fide hero who has been humbled by profound loss.
It's a good look.
These are just some of the ways that origin stories have been adapted to the big screen. The best superhero films flesh out the 2D characters quite literally and give them and imbibe them with a heart and reality that mainstream audiences can buy into. But what are your favorite origin stories in superhero cinema? Let's discuss in the comments. And be sure to check out our other Super Movie Madness videos on villains, action scenes, and visual effects.